Now, don't get carried away with this drawing stuff, but you want to get in the habit of saying, all right, here's the lateral lateral malleolus. So I'm going to draw right around there. That's going to be important because some ligaments are going to come off there. Directly below that is going to be the talus and then the calcaneus. But off of that are going to come three main ligaments. We're going to have your anterior talofibular, calcaneofibular, and posterior talofibular ligament. But before we do, we're going to find some things, all right? So, can you see from there?
Yes, I can.
Probably this shot might be better. We're going to find the lateral medial malleolus and come in. That in, we're going to fall right onto the dome of the talus. I'll point these out on the skeleton in just a second. The dome of the talus then turns into the neck of the talus. You'll feel it drop off. But that dome of the talus, you can feel by inverting and everting. So yeah, that dome of the talus is going to be more prominent on one side than the other. That's the thing that goes into the ankle mortise and then out of the ankle. Glides posterior, glides anterior. Good? On the lateral side, we are going to have another obvious bony landmark besides the lateral epicondyle, the tubercle of the
Navicular.
fifth metatarsal. Just come along the lateral side, that big bump is an obvious bony landmark. From that point, we can find the cuboid because we know the fourth and fifth metatarsals approximate. Right underneath that muscle right there that we'll palpate later, this is your extensor digitorum brevis, is going to be your cuboid. But one of the ways we find it is go to the base, tubercle at the base of the fifth metatarsal, and just come proximal and more towards the anterior side. And that bone right there is your cuboid bone. But we'll just palpate the metatarsals and the phalanges as normal. Good? I'm not so much worried about this. As long as you, oh yeah, the metatarsals are in this part of the foot. These are the phalanges. That's really, for this class at this point, that's all you need to know. Where are your MTP joints? There's your MTP joints. That's important because we're going to palpate what structure. It's the last structure I left off with in lecture today. Plantar aponeurosis. Good? We're going to switch legs and go to the medial side. On the medial side, we will want to find that medial malleolus a little bit bigger. And so you can see that the ligaments are going to be very wide, fan-shaped. Posterior fibers, middle fibers, anterior fibers. Deltoid ligament. It fans out. But as we come off of this, we run into a firm structure, and that's the talus, just like it was on the other side. But then I'm going to palpate further and further and further and down until I don't feel any more bone. Uh-oh. So from here down, all of that is soft tissue. But if I, relax, if I invert and evert, there's, oh yeah, sure enough, that's the last little bone there. That is actually your sustentaculum tali. Do you remember that? That took me forever to remember. Sustentaculum, so I would spell it correctly. Tale or tali. Tale or tali.
Your eyes scares me.
Well, that's good to know. Good? We can feel, of course, the dome of the talus on this side, and then the neck. We can feel the first metatarsal, the phalanges. I'm not so worried about all these medial, intermediate, and lateral, or first, second, and third cuneiforms. But I am worried about the navicular bone, because the navicular bone has an important tubercle on it. Tubercle of the navicular. If we come straight down and find the sustentaculum tali, boom, then at that angle, at about a 45-degree angle, we can either go 45-degree angle or go here and then straight forward like an L. We're going to run into a big bump. That bump is the tubercle of your navicular bone. That's an important bone when we measure the arch of someone's foot. Because we're going to put a dot there. When I measure someone's foot, I'm going to put a dot in the middle of their MTP joint, and I'm going to put a dot right here at the end, and I'm going to connect the dots and see how straight that line is. You have a flat foot? No. We'll look to see if you do. Good? So, on the medial side, we have the medial malleolus, talus, sustentaculum tali, tubercle of the navicular, head of the first metatarsal. Heads are distal, correct? And then phalanges. The cuneiforms, I'm not so paranoid about you palpating those, but I expect you to palpate the cuboid on the lateral side. That's our landmark, is the tubercle of the fifth. Cuboid, lateral malleolus, cuboid, tubercle of the fifth. And then, of course, the metatarsals and phalanges.
What is the cuboid again?
Cuboid is going to be just proximal and
Anterior.
inward or towards the medial side of the fifth. Remember,
Yeah.
the fifth approximates with the cuboid. It's under this muscle called your extensor digitorum brevis. We call it the golf ball muscle because it looks like a golf ball. Extend your toes. You see the little ball there? So the cuboid is directly underneath that. So if they say, oh, I've got pain right in here, we expect that to be the cubometatarsal joints. And that's the fifth and fourth. If they've got pain on this side, so, oh, we expect that to be a navicular problem. It could be a navicular on the talus, or it could be a navicular on the first metatarsal. And those are the big problems as far as the rays are concerned. Not that there aren't other problems. Those are two most common problems. Good? All right, so let's give those a try.